Right, I think we're good. Okay, so hello everyone. I think I'm live. Just double check. It's like my ultimate nightmare to record an hour-long yoga class and it not actually record. So I'm a little bit pedantic about checking. But welcome back to another Facebook live yoga class. I hope you're all having a lovely week. It's Wednesday already. The days are just going so quick, aren't they now? But I hope you're having a lovely week. I hope you're enjoying the sun. And yeah, welcome back. We're going to do something fun today. Every time I say fun, it's quite loaded. Anytime I say fun in a yoga class, people start to sweat a little bit. But it will be quite a fun class because we're going to have a look at a baby tripod headstand. So in Ashtanga, there are 7 kinds of headstand. We practice a different one in the first series and the others come a little bit later on. I mean, they're all the same in the sense that your legs are up in the air and you're on the top of your head. What's different is the arm positioning. There's loads of crazy different arm positions. If you're interested, you can definitely go and look them up. So 7 Ashtanga headstands. Today we're going to be having a look at tripod headstand. I actually think you might do this in CrossFit, so you're probably already aware there may be some differences between the way we practice it in yoga and the way we practice it in other forms of movement. For the purpose of this video, we're not going to be taking our legs all the way up unless it's already in your practice and you are confident and comfortable doing so. I'm always a little bit hesitant about teaching headstands because there is a real sort of technique to them. And this tripod headstand is what we call in yoga an unsupported headstand, which means very simply that your hands are further away from your head. So in a position like this, where you take your arms in a triangle, you place your head, that would be a supported headstand. Tripod headstand, your hands are just a little further away. Don't get too caught up on the word unsupported, but it's what we call it in yoga. So with this tripod headstand, the hand positioning is so important, okay? We're going to share the weight between the hands, the shoulders, the lats, rather than taking the brunt of the posture through our head and neck area. So today we're going to be focusing a lot on warming up the shoulders. There's going to be a lot of upper body stuff. We also want the core to be strong. We want the hip flexors, the psoas muscle in particular, to be strong so that we can draw the thighs in towards the belly, tiptoe the feet forward. And then for today, we are just going to see if we can place our knees on the back of our arms here. We're not going to be taking the legs up, like I said, unless it's in your practice and you're confident and comfortable doing so. Obviously, if you've got any neck injuries, maybe give this class a miss until everything's healed up. And a lot to, like, being upside down, of course, it's a balance as well. We're going to do a lot of prep today with our head below our chest. So in yoga, we call them inversions. Downward dog's an inversion, forward folds are inversion. Anything where you're just dropping your head down. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to warm up the hamstrings, we're going to do some sun salutations, and it's going to be a good class. It's going to be fun. If you've got any major concerns, just check with your doctor before doing this. Maybe give me a private message if you're unsure of anything. So we're not going to need any props, just yourself. And we're going to warm the body up slowly. We're going to do a lion posture. We're going to warm the neck up a little bit, the wrists up a little bit. And really going to focus on the hands today. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about the hands. Really important for this variation of baby headstand we're doing. So if you want to come down onto your backs, we're going to start in a lying position, legs straight down the mat. Now if you feel like you need a bit of extra support from the lower back, just bend your knees and place the soles of the feet on the floor instead. Either way, hands a little way away from the body, palms facing up. So with the palms up, already starting to broaden across the chest, open into the shoulders very gently. And we're just going to take a few moments here, bringing the attention into the room. Really important. Any sort of balance, whether you're standing on one leg or standing on your head, if you take your attention away from that for 1 second, you're going to fall over. I mean, today it's not that big a deal because we're not going to extend the legs all the way. So we're going to stay quite close to the floor. So if you do fall, what's going to happen is you're going to come through a roly-poly. I don't know how long it's been since you've done a roly-poly, but that's kind of what's going to happen. So there's not a very long way to fall, but still we're going to see if we can not fall. And that requires us to bring the attention very much to our breath, to our body, to what we're doing on the mat. We're trying to tune out any distractions. Really tricky at the moment, but just do your best. So we'll start by slowing the breath down, inhales and exhales, equal in length, finding a slow and steady rhythm that's sustainable for you. So at no point do you want to feel like you're running out of breath. Always making sure you breathe comfortably in a posture and then moving the breath a little bit higher up in the chest so the rib cage rises and falls. The purpose of this is just because we're going to be doing quite a few forward folds today, some core work, very hard to breathe into the tummy while working those muscles at the same time. And once you've taken a couple of deep breaths, just take your attention around the body. So everything's really relaxed here. The feet are naturally falling out sideways. The chin tucks in towards the chest. So already trying to find length through the back of the neck. At no point do we ever want to be crunching into the back of the neck. The shoulders are relaxed, so no tension there. Long through the spine. Okay, we're going to begin, like I said, quite gently, a couple of warm-up postures, and then we'll get on to the strength building stuff. So open your eyes. If your eyes are shut, we're going to take a cat stretch. So point both toes down the mat, arms overhead. Just make yourself as long as you possibly can. So really pointing the toes, lifting the arms, and feeling the shoulders come right up by the ears here. Stretching into that area. You may feel a little arch lift in your lower spine as you lengthen. You may even feel a little stretch in your lower belly if you've done any strong core work. And then as you exhale, just hug the knees into the chest, rock from side to side and make some circles. So keep the back of the head on the floor, using the hands around the knees or the shins to guide the movement. So the base of the spine will lift as you draw the thighs in towards the tummy. We're just rocking out any tension in the lower back. And then bring both feet to the floor. So we're going to start with a very sort of gentle posture to work into the groin, the tops of the leg. If you want to extend your left leg down the mat, left calf plants, and then gently draw your left toes back so we can already start to work into that calf. Then take hold of the right shin below the knee. Inhale here, then as you exhale, we're just gently drawing the right thigh back towards the tummy. So nothing too hectic to begin with. Gentle but constant pressure to ease the knee back. Maybe feeling the stretch in the top of the right leg, groin. And as much as possible, we're trying to keep the shoulders relaxed as well. So shoulders draw down towards the mat, the chest is broad, and as always, the chin tucks in so the neck is long. And we're not doing anything with that right foot. Right foot can just relax. And then just holding it here for a few more breaths. If for whatever reason this ends up hurting your right knee, you can just take the back of the right thigh instead, can sometimes ease the pressure. Okay, lovely. Then exhale, just release. Straighten the right leg down the mat. Work the right toes back to start getting into that calf, and then ground down through the right calf. Take hold of the left shin or back of the left thigh. Big inhale, then as you exhale, we're just squeezing the left leg back. So eventually seeing if we can close the gap between the left thigh and the tummy. Keeping the shoulders relaxed, chins tucked in, and then the back of the neck is nice and long. And the reason we're doing this posture is when we come into our little baby tripod headstand, we're going to want to walk the legs quite close in towards the body. So working that movement here from a lying position, from a very passive position. Okay, and then exhale, just release. We'll take another cat stretch, so point toes down the mat, arms overhead, lengthen. Making yourself as long as you possibly can. Feeling the stretch, fingers all the way down to toes, should feel quite nice. And then as you exhale, hugging the knees into the chest again, rocking from side to side, making some circles. Okay, lovely. And then inhale, just pop yourself up to seated. Cool. Right, fab. So we're going to do a couple of seated neck stretches. If your hips are tight, and hips do get tight, sitting on the floor cross-legged might be really uncomfortable. Your knees might be high, that might start like impacting the back might start to round. It's just something that happens until we open the hips up a little bit. So if that is you, if you're feeling very uncomfortable in a cross-legged position, grab a block, grab a pillow, sit on it to lift your butt up a little bit higher. It's going to give you a little bit more room around the hip area. Otherwise, just a comfortable cross-legged position on the floor is fine. So we're going to work into the neck. With this headstand, you are taking a little bit more pressure through the crown of the head than you would in a regular kind of headstand we'd do in yoga. So I want to make sure the neck is sort of like, you know, ready. So we're going to place the left hand on the left knee. Your right hand, you're going to take the side of the left head. Left side of the head. Inhale, then as you exhale, very simply, just draw your right ear down towards your right shoulder. Now, the hand on the head, we're not yanking the head down. This is just sort of a very gentle bit of weight here. I feel like we don't stretch the neck very much as we should. Sometimes it can be a little bit neglected. So this may feel quite intense, feeling that big stretch down the left side of the neck, travelling down towards that shoulder. We're trying to sit up nice and tall as you can, so spine is long, moving forward on your sit bones ever so slightly. Holding it here. If you want to deepen the posture, you're just going to take your left hand, you're going to crawl your left fingertips out to the left and then press down through the fingertips, maybe the palm if the palm's on the floor, and you're going to feel that stretch lengthen, travels down the left arm. Plugging the left shoulder down can also make it a little bit deeper. Eyes open or closed for this one, doesn't really matter. Okay, fab, then exhale, just release. Slowly bring your head back up to center. Maybe give your shoulders a little shake if you want to, and then we'll change sides. So to begin with, right hand on the right knee, sitting up nice and tall, moving forward on your sit bones, and then placing the left hand on the right side of the head. Inhale, then as you exhale, very gently, easing the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Just like any part of the body, one side might be a little bit tighter, so just be mindful. Move slow, then feeling that really deep stretch down the right side of the neck towards the shoulder. Okay, you have the option if you want to deepen it by crawling your right fingertips out to the right, pressing down through the fingertips, maybe the palm if the palm's on the floor, plugging that right shoulder down. Wonderful, and then exhale, just release. Okay, slowly head back to center, maybe give your shoulders a little shake if you need to, and then we're going to work into the back of the neck now. So interlace your hands, we're going to place the hands on the back of the head. Now elbows are going to stay broad to begin with. Now as we do this posture, we're going to round through the upper back and the elbows will pull together. So to begin with, hands interlaced behind the head, elbows broad. Inhale here, then as you exhale, start to curl your chin in towards your chest. Round the back and then gently squeeze the elbows together. So a little bit like those cat-cows we do. We want the spine to start to round. Feeling that deep stretch, back of the neck also travelling down the upper back. Gentle pressure with the hands on the head, so nothing too intense. Few more moments here. Keep the breath steady. And then exhale, just release. All right. I find them so intense. Neck stretches get me every time. Okay, shoulders a little shake, and then we're going to come into all fours. We're just going to do some wrist stretches. So, tripod headstand, baby tripod headstand, your hands. Your hands are your friends. So we're going to come into an all four position. Knees underneath the hips, top of the feet on the floor if possible. Now really spread your fingers as wide as you can here. Exactly the same as when we come into downward dog. We want to spread the fingers wide, press down through the fingers and the palms equally. So we don't want any gaps underneath the fingers. Sometimes there's a little bit of a tendency for people to claw the mat so their fingers lift, but we want to press them flat. And then hold it here. So really feel that connection between the hands and the mat. So it should be a nice, good foundation. And then just see if you can hold it here for a little bit, pressing down through the hands. Okay, and then we're gonna just switch the positioning up to stretch into the wrists a little bit. So without moving sort of the positioning of the hands, we're going to stay underneath the shoulders. We're just going to flip the fingers to face backwards and then place the palms back down on the floor. So this can feel a little bit awkward. It looks a little bit awkward for sure. So the hands are still underneath the shoulders, but the fingers are facing the knees now. The palms are flat on the floor. Believe it or not, there are actually a few postures where we want the hands in this position in yoga. Actually a couple of arm balances, I believe. And you know, baby press-ups and stuff. So there are a few crazy postures where we want the hands to be in this position. We're not going to balance on our hands like this now, don't worry. So already you may be feeling quite a big stretch in your wrists, the inside of your forearms, okay? Now, just be mindful as you do this. You can deepen the posture if you want by gently moving the weight back, but keeping the palms on the floor. So it's almost like you get a little bend in the elbow backward. So it's just a very subtle movement. The weight comes back while you press the palms down. As soon as the palms lift, you need to bring the weight forward a little bit. Then pressing down through the hands, fingers nice and spread, and then hold it here just for a few more moments. We use the hands a lot in yoga. Again, we don't tend to do a lot of wrist stretches, but they're really good, really important. Okay, wonderful. And then just move the hands back so the fingers face forward, and then sit on your heels or just come into seated and give your wrists a little shake. Okay, wonderful. So wrists definitely are one of the most common complaints you get in yoga, downward dogs, arm balances. We do need to strengthen them just like any other area of the body. So this next one, we're going to see if we can stretch out sort of the top of the hands up the forearms a little bit. Just be mindful that we want all the weight in the hips for this. You don't actually want to be taking any weight really through the hands. It's just they're gently resting. Otherwise it's going to be very uncomfortable. So if you want to come into your all four position, so this time we're just going to take the weight back ever so slightly. So you could lift the hands off the floor effectively and just be on your knees. And then we're going to place the top of the hands on the floor, fingers facing back. Okay, so top of the hands on the floor, fingers facing back. All the weight is back into the legs, so you're not coming down too heavy in the wrists here. And then just feel that stretch in the top of the hands, up the forearms. And as much as it's comfortable, we're still pressing down through the tops of the hands. You can make it a little bit deeper by just taking a little bit more weight into that area, but you don't want to take too much into it. Okay, wonderful. And then just flip the hands back, so fingers face forward. We're going to come into child's pose now, so feet and knees together. If possible, bum towards heels. Try and get the bum as close towards the heels as you can before you lay the body down. And we are going to take the arms out in front of us this time. Forehead comes down towards the mat. If it's very uncomfortable to have your knees together, feel free to separate the knees a little bit. That's okay. But just keep the arms out in front this time. And then really crawl the fingertips forward as much as you can. Arms are straight. Maybe widen your hands so they're as wide as the mat, and then draw your armpits down towards the floor. You should feel a deeper stretch in your shoulder area, across the upper back, and then breathe deeply through the nose just for a few more moments. Press in the hands quite firmly down into the floor. And then as you inhale, just pop yourself back up to seated. Wonderful. Okay, so that's like our little warm-up done. Done some stuff with the legs, done some stuff with the neck and the wrists. And now we're going to start to strengthen the shoulders a little bit. So we're going to do quite a few baby press-ups. The first ones we do, we're just going to get a feel for it, a sense of it. And then the second one we do, we're going to work on the technique a little bit. There's a lot of school of thought in yoga. When you come down into your chaturanga, your low press-up, whether you over the wrists or not. Different teachers will teach it differently. We're actually going to try both today. And I think the second variation we're going to do with the elbows over the wrists is a little bit stronger. That's the one we're going to focus on. But first things first, let's just get an idea of the baby press up. So if you want to come into all fours, fingers spread underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Up to you whether you want to cross the ankles or leave the feet uncrossed. And then in yoga, it's more like a tricep push-up almost. We want the elbows to bend backwards. We don't want the elbows to come out to the side. So as we move through these, the elbows are going to hug the ribs. So to do this, you need to turn the inside of your elbows to face forward. Obviously, because if the inside of the elbows are facing in, your elbows can only bend out. So turn the inside of the elbows to face forward, which means the elbows can come back. Now, as we drop the chest down in a minute and hold, just be mindful that you're not taking the weight back and then coming down onto your forearms. So this actually happens quite a lot. You key baby press up and the elbows come all the way back, all the way to the floor, come up. We're not putting the forearms on the floor. We're just going to drop the chest and we're going to see if we can keep the elbows up, and then we're going to pop back up. All right? So we're going to drop the chest down and then pop back up, forearms not on the floor. So fingers nice and spread, we're going to leave the hips high, big inhale here, then as you exhale, lower the chest down, hold it a few inches off the floor, and then inhale, push back up, okay? Exhale down, hug the ribs, and then inhale, push up, exhale, chest down, hover, inhale, push up, 2 more, exhale, drop down, inhale, push up, last one, exhale, drop down, squeeze the elbows in towards the ribs, and then inhale, push up. Fantastic, back to child's pose, feet and knees together, forehead down towards the floor. This time, just take the arms either side of the body and let the shoulders relax, maybe give the wrists a little wriggle. You can clench and unclench the fists if that feels good. Taking a couple of deep breaths if your breath got a little bit weird then. And then just make your way back up into seated. Wonderful. So, you know, starting to work the shoulders a little bit. Strong across the upper back. Upper body strength for me is always my weakest thing. So I'm right there with you. It's something I always have to work on personally. So this next time, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of dropping the chest directly down, we're going to drop the chin forward and down, and we're going to do our best to keep the elbows over the wrists. So it's like the forearms can't move. So I'll show you what it looks like. Very simply, fingers are spread. I keep saying very simply, simple about it. So fingers nice and spread, and then the knees are underneath the hips, and what we're going to do, so just watch me for a second, is we're going to inhale, then exhale, the chin comes forward and down this time. The elbows stay over the wrists, and then we push ourselves back up. So it's very much more a forward and down movement rather than just a down movement. So we'll give that a go. All fours, fingers spread, knees underneath the hips, you can cross your ankles or leave the feet uncrossed, just keep the hips high. So inhale here, then as you exhale, drop the chin forward and down, elbows are going to stay as much as possible over the wrists, and then inhale, push yourself back up. So slow mindful movements, exhale forward and down, and then inhale back up, exhale forward and down, elbows over wrists, and then exhale back up, 2 more, Exhale, forwards and down. Sorry. Then inhale, back up, last one. You exhale, chin forward and down, elbows stay over wrists. And then you inhale, very slowly back up, wonderful. So hopefully you felt the difference between the two. The second one is a little bit stronger. So back into child's pose, feet knees together, arms either side of the body. Forehead down towards the mat and just let the shoulders relax. Now to work into the shoulders a little bit deeper from this position, we're going to interlace the hands behind the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then as you inhale, just lift your straight arms, straight as you can get them, away from the lower back. Don't worry if they don't lift very high at all, that's okay. Just as much as is possible. Breath steady. Now, listen very carefully. So usually in this position, we keep the bum drawing back towards the heels. But for the purpose of today's class, because we do need the neck to be working a little bit today, you have the option in a minute to roll onto the crown of your head, lifting the bum away from the heels. Now if you are going to do this, it is the crown of your head, not your forehead, not the back of your head, right on the top of your head. So stay in here. Head, lift the bum away from the heels, and it might allow you to get a little bit more stretch into the shoulders as well. Okay, so deep, steady breaths, doing a good job. Okay, again, the neck is an area we can strengthen just like any other part of the body. If this feels uncomfortable for whatever reason, just come out of the posture. Otherwise, a few more moments here. And then as you exhale, just lower the bum back to the heels and let the arms flop either side of the body, really heavy. Maybe give your wrists a wriggle. And then as you inhale, just make your way back up into all fours, wonderful. So we're going to come through downward dog. But before we come into downward dog, we're going to focus on the hands again. Hands really important today. Important all the time, but especially important today. So coming to all fours, fingers underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Now spread your fingers. What I want you to do from here is come up onto your fingers, lift the palms. Okay, so the palms are lifted, the fingers are down. We're pressing down through the fingers. Okay, so feel that connection between the fingers and the floor. There are no gaps underneath. And then once you've found that, drop your palms. Press your palms down into the floor. You should feel this really great connection between your hands and the mat. Now, once you've established that, you can tuck your toes, send your hips up and back, and then come into downward dog, first downward dog. Okay? So you can adjust the hands and adjust the feet as long as you don't lose that sort of pressure down through the palms, the fingers. The feet are roughly hip width apart, the hands are roughly shoulder width apart, and you can bend the knees as much as you need to. You do not have to have the heels on the floor, okay? So you can bend the knees, you can have the heels off the floor. Either way, getting the arms as straight as possible, letting the head relax. And then there's a real sort of push back. So you're pushing forward through the arms to take the hips back, tilting the hips up towards the ceiling, and then trying to share the weight of the posture between the hands and the feet equally. It's almost like you're trying to pull your chest towards your shins. At the same time, we don't want the shoulders to be hunched up by the ears, so the shoulders, the upper back's broad. So gently roll your armpits down towards the floor. And then holding it here, we'll hold it here for a slow count of 5. So keep the breath steady. 5. 4, feeling that stretch come hamstrings, calves, up towards the glutes if you tilt your hips up. 3, keep pressing forward with the hands to take the hips back. 2, You can lift the toes if your heels are down. You want a slightly deeper stretch in the back of the legs. And one, fabulous. So from here you're stepping, jumping or walking your feet forward between your hands. Look forward, keep the hands on the floor. Exhale, drop the head. And then inhale, swoop the arms up all the way up. And then exhale, arms by your side. Great. Give your shoulders a shake, give your legs a shake. Do what you need to here. All right. So we're going to come through some sun salutations, but we're going to really focus on the lowering down from plank to chaturanga, plank to low press up on the floor. We are going to see if we can incorporate the chin forward and down movement that we've done in the baby press up in this sun salutation. So from our planks, what we're going to do is we're going to move through it, we're going to end up in plank. We're going to hold the plank for a second. It doesn't actually matter whether you come to low press up or the floor, as long as you lower the body in one long line and make the sort of lowering slow and controlled. Whatever you're doing, low press up or the floor, from plank you turn the inside of the elbows to face forward. We're going to lower the chin forward and down. So I come onto my tiptoes, you might do the same, and then we're going to push forward into our back bend. Okay, if you're coming all the way down to the floor, no problem. Inside of the elbows face forward, chin forward and down, lowering in one long line, all the way to the floor, and then you push through your back bend. So you've got some options. Either way, chin forward and down, and see if you can keep the elbows over the wrists as much as possible. Let's give it a go. So come to the front of your mats, balls of the feet together, ankles slightly apart, lift your shoulders, allow them to fall back and head slightly tilted forward. Okay, so standing up nice and tall, the arms are relaxed, the chest is broad, length through the spine. Taking a couple of breaths here. Okay, and then as you inhale, you're going to swoop your arms up, look up. We'll take the first one nice and slow. So palms together if possible, pressing the palms together, fingers closed, gently tilting your head back, looking up towards the thumbs. And then as you exhale, you're going to fold forward, bend the knees as much as you need to get the hands on the floor, then drop the head. So you can be down into a low squat if that's what's more comfortable here. Just let the back of the neck be heavy. Palms flat if possible, but if that's not happening, fingertips is fine. To make it easier, you can move your hands forward in front of your feet ever so slightly. Over time, we want the fingers in line with the toes, but that requires a little bit more of the hamstrings. So just hold this forward fold here. The head is really heavy, it's acting as like a weight, helping us to stretch into the back. Again, legs bent fine, elbows gently drawing in towards the shins. We do forward folds for hamstrings, calves, but also for lower back. If you have got a bit of a sensitive lower back, always bend your knees generously in any forward fold, or just don't do them. There's a thing. So you either bend your knees really generously and come down if your back hurts, or if you want to keep the legs straight, you don't fold any further than 90 degrees, you have to stay upright like this. So you've got some options. Okay, lovely. Then from here, as you inhale, look forward. And then as you exhale, step or jump back into plank, hold your planks. Okay, so fingers spread, inside of the elbows face forward, body's going to stay strong, one long line. Then as you exhale, chin drops forward and down, elbows stay over wrists, holding a very low press up on the floor. And then you inhale a back bend, chest forward, and then exhale, downward dog. Okay, so feet hip width apart, fingers spread. So pressing down any gaps that may have appeared underneath your fingers and drawing the thighs to the back of the room, head relaxes.
Pushing forward with the hands to take the hips back. Deep, steady breaths. Legs bent, absolutely fine. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can lift the toes if you want. And then as you inhale, feet forward, look forward. Then exhale, drop the head forward, fold. And then inhale, swoop the arms up, look up. And then exhale, arms by your side. Again, inhale, arms up, big reach. Exhale, fold, drop the head, hands to floor. You inhale, look forward, lengthen. And then exhale, back to plank, hold your planks. Inside of the elbows face forward. As you exhale, drop the chin forward and down as slow as you can. And then inhale, a back bend. And then exhale, dog. Okay, so hopefully you can feel the difference by dropping the chin forward and down, how much stronger it is for the upper body. So arms straight, head relaxes, feet hip width apart and parallel, maybe lifting the toes. Either way, seeing if you can draw the weight backwards, draw the chest towards the shins. And then as you inhale, feet forward, look forward. Exhale, drop the head. Then inhale, arms up, look up. And then exhale, arms by your side. Again, inhale, arms up, big reach. Exhale, fold, drop the head, hands to floor. You inhale, look forward, lengthen. Take the weight into the hands as you exhale, step back to plank, hold your planks. Fingers spread, inside of the elbows face forward. And then as you exhale, lower down to a very low press up on the floor as slow as you can. Elbows stay over wrist, chin forward and down. Then inhale, pull through a back bend. And then exhale, come into downward dog. Okay. Setting up your downward dogs. Fingers spread, pressing down any gaps that may have appeared underneath your fingers, drawing the weight back, maybe tilting the hips up towards the ceiling. Deep breaths. And then inhale, feet forward, look forward. Exhale, drop the head. And then inhale, swoop the arms up, all the way up. And then exhale, arms by your side. We're going to do two more. So inhale, arms up, big reach. Exhale, fold, hands to floor, drop the head. You inhale, look forward, lengthen. And then exhale, back to plank, hold your planks. Inside of the elbows face forward. As slowly as you can with control. One long line, chin forward and down. Lower to a very low press up or the floor. You inhale, a back bend. And then exhale, downward dog. So feet hip width apart and parallel. Pressing the fingers, the palms down into the floor. Heads relaxed, taking the hips back. Deep, steady breaths through the nose. And then as you inhale, feet forward, look forward. Exhale, drop the head. And then inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, arms by your side. Last one. Inhale, arms up. You exhale, fold, hands to floor, drop the head. You inhale, look forward. And then exhale, back to plank. Hold your planks. Inside of the elbows face forward. As slow as you can, chin forward and down. Elbows stay over wrist, elbows hug ribs. And then inhale, back bend, chest forward. And then exhale, downward dog. Last downward dog. Fingers spread, arms straight, head relaxed. Press forward with your hands to take the hips back. Heels can be off the floor, knees can be bent, but if heels are down, maybe lift the toes. Nice, deep, slow breaths. Okay, wonderful. And then inhale, feet forward, look forward, hands stay on the floor. Exhale, drop the head. And then inhale, arms up, look up. And then exhale, arms by your side. Done. Done with them. So have a drink if you need a drink. I might need a drink. So yeah, very different, a different feel to it when you drop the chin forward and down. There's a couple of schools of thought. So some people will come down. They'll do the same thing, always body in one long line, but they'll come down, the elbows will bend backwards, and then they'll push forward. That's okay. Other people, again, will drop the chin forward and down every time, and then push forward. I don't care. Some teachers get very sort of like anal about it, but there's pros and cons to each. So if you drop the chin forward and down, okay, while it is stronger in the arms, it's going to build more upper body strength, in my opinion. You're on your toes, you end up bringing the weight forward, so pushing forward into your back bend is a lot more challenging, bit more tendency to maybe compress in the lower back, and it's a lot more strain on your elbows. So while it builds more upper body strength, if you haven't got a very flexible back, that movement forward can be a lot more challenging, in which case maybe you need to take the elbows back behind the wrists a little bit. It's sort of personal preference. You know, I've had it taught to me both ways. I see the benefits of doing both ways. You find the way which works for you. But for the purpose of this class, we were doing chin forward and down, which supercharged the shoulders a little bit. So the next thing I want to do is 4 wide-legged folds. So as well as being inversions, we're upside down. We're going to see if we can really focus, in the first one, on the hand positioning. Because in the first forward fold, you can actually come up into your tripod headstand from this forward fold. The hand positioning is exactly how we want it when we come to our little baby tripod headstand later. So in the first one, we're going to focus on the hand positioning, listen carefully. And then in all the others, it's shoulder openers. And we're going to really work on moving the weight forward. So there's a bit of a tendency sometimes in forward folds for this to happen. The butt sticks out backwards, the hips are sinking back. What we want to do is move the weight forward into the toes, almost like we're going to topple over. And this is going to really help us prepare for our sort of balance point when we get to this little headstand we're doing later. So with the feet forward at the front of the mat, very simply, just take a step back with your right foot. Right. Okay, here we are in the wide leg position. Toes gently turn in, especially if you're on a slippy mat and you're slipping everywhere. You want the legs to be really strong. So we're going to do this 4 times. This first one, all about the hands and the arms. So take your hands to your hips. As you inhale, lift the chest, look up, and then exhale, dive forward. Now, to begin with, let's take the fingers in line with the toes. Fingers face forward, hands flat on the floor. All right, so if you can't get your hands on the floor, you may either need to take your legs wider or bend the knees. You can place your hands on blocks. Then from here, as you inhale, straighten the arms, look forward. And then as you exhale, crown of the head drops down towards the floor. Eventually, crown of the head hits the floor. But don't worry if that's not happening. Now, your arms. It's a bit of a bugbear of mine, actually, in this. People get a little bit weird with this. So, I don't know if you can see me, but I'll come side on. If you have the room, you're going to walk your hands further back between your legs. Your fingers face forward, okay? Not backwards like this. That's a stupid variation of forward fold. I don't care about any order. It's a stupid variation of forward fold. So, your hands face forward. Your hands are on the floor. You can walk your hands back further between the legs and then use it to pull your body closer towards the legs. Now, your hands are roughly shoulder width apart. Your elbows are over your wrists and your elbows are in line with your shoulders. So we're making a 90-degree angle with the arms. Your arms are strong. You're using your arms to help pull the body closer to the legs. The weight comes forward, so you're not sinking back too heavy in the hips, okay? And hold it here. I really hate that version of forward fold where people take their their arms like that, back between their legs. If anything happens, you just snap your elbows in two. It puts a lot of stress on the elbows. It's not good. Sorry if anyone practices it. I mean, it is just my opinion, but I'm right. I'm a Libra. Okay, so from this position. So eventually, we're not going to do it today, but if your arms are in the correct position, if you have the hands on the floor and you have, you know, everything sort of working, the elbows are in line with the shoulders, you've got bringing the weight forward, your head's on the floor, eventually the feet will come off the floor, okay? And that's when you can come up to your tripod headstand, but not until the head's on the floor and the arms are in the right position. Okay, as you inhale, you look forward, you exhale, hands to hips, you inhale, lift up, you exhale, pause here. Beautiful. Number 2, inhale, arms wide, stretch. Exhale, hands to hips. So this time the hands are going to stay on the hips. You inhale, lift up. You exhale, dive forward again, taking the crown of the head towards the floor. Doesn't have to touch the floor, eventually it does. But don't worry if it doesn't, absolutely fine. And then squeezing the shoulders together, lifting the elbows slightly, moving the weight forward so we're not sinking back too heavy in the hips. Finding that balance point, so challenging your balance here, getting used to being upside down. Nice, slow, steady breaths, legs are strong. Okay, and then as you inhale all the way back up. Ooh, exhale, pause here, and then inhale, arms wide, and then exhale, interlace your hands behind your back. You inhale, chest lifts, and you exhale, dive forward. And once you're in your forward fold, you are going to lift your arms away from your lower back overhead. Again, just like the one before, do not worry if they do not come very far, just as far as is comfortable. Working into the shoulders, moving the weight forward, hips high, head low, breath steady. And then inhale all the way back up. Wonderful. And then exhale, hands straight to hips. Last one. Again, with this one, let's really sort of focus on the arms and the shoulder positioning. So as you inhale, lift the chest up. Exhale, fold halfway. Take hold of your big toes, first 2 fingers and thumbs. Keep your thumbs off the mat, because if you fall, you will break them. And then inhale, look forward. And then exhale, fold, crown of the head lowers. Okay, so let's have a little focus on our arms, as well as being a forward fold, moving the weight forward, crown of the head down. So your wrists are over your ankles, there's an upward pull into the toes. The arms aren't hanging out, they're strong. So pull up into your toes. Keep your elbows in line with your shoulders, so your elbows aren't falling out, they're gently drawing back towards the shins. And then don't let your shoulders hunch by your neck, draw your shoulders back towards your waist. And then hold it here. So arms are strong, legs are working. Using the fingers around the toes to pull the body closer towards the legs. And then inhale, look forward. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, come up. 1 step. Step to the front of your mat. Wonderful. And then give your legs a little shake. All right. Good. Good. So, yeah, I know I sounded like a bit of a B-I-T-C-H then with those forward folds. But everyone, obviously, for good reason, gets very focused on the hamstring, the groin. It's a bit of a lower body killer. Forget about the shoulders. Forget about the hand position. It's so important. What we're doing with the shoulders, lifting them back. So again, with headstands, there's a bit of a tendency for this to happen. Don't know if you can see. My shoulders are right up sort of by my ears. What we want to do is kind of like push the floor away, keep the shoulders doing most of the work so they're not collapsing. If they're collapsing, they can't be strong to support the posture. And while the tripod headstand, the baby tripod headstand we're going to have a go at now, it doesn't really count so much because it's a different kind, but the traditional headstand we do with this arm position in here,
you shouldn't really be coming up unless you can balance, just for a second, your head off the floor and come up. That's how strong we need the shoulders. We don't want any like massive pressure through the crown of the head, okay? I get very pedantic with this one as well. I've seen some dodgy headstands in my time, trust me. Headstands, not about your neck. Headstands, shoulders, arms, lats, all need to be working. Balance, core. So right, I feel like we're going to give this a go. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I see my pillow. I kind of want to shut the curtains a bit more. I'm getting distracted. I say focus. Focus on your breath, focus on your body. Focus on the curtains. I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and I'm sure a lot of you know this. Again, we're not going to take the legs up unless you are confident in it. So watch me for a second, grab a drink while you do. So it's combining all of the elements that we've done. So from an all four position, much like that sort of press up we do when we take the chin forward and down. We're going to take the chin forward and down, then we curl the chin in, and we come onto the back of our head. Not the back of our head, the crown of our head. I wanted to say that. This isn't coming onto the back of the head, it's not coming onto the forehead. Ignore what I just said. You want to be on the crown of your head, not the forehead, not the back of your head, right on the top of your head, okay? So the chin comes forward and down. You curl your chin in, you come on the crown of your head. Now, at this point, you may need to adjust the hands. We want the hands, okay, to be roughly shoulder width apart. Don't take them too wide, don't take them in, okay? So the hands need to be roughly shoulder width apart. You need to make sure your elbows are over your wrists. Your elbows, again, are in line with your shoulders. So just like that forward fold we just done. You are on the crown of the head, not the back of the head, not the forehead. Then from here, you tuck your toes like in downward dog. You walk your feet in. Now something that happens a lot in this is people keep their hips back. Then they try and do this, but the hips are back. So all that happens is people fall out. You need to get your hips forward. You really need to tiptoe those legs in. So those downward dogs we done for the hamstrings, okay? Good prep. Okay, so setting the hands up, walking the feet in, hips right over, hips come forward, then you just place the knees on the back of the arms. Now, you want to be pressing into your hands, your fingers are spread, your shoulders are working, your lats are working, my arms are shaking, and then you're going to hold it here, all right? That sound good? That sounds good. So yeah, definitely, at least when I teach the class, one of the things, well, two of the things that happen that will stop you getting into this. One, the hips aren't forward enough. You need to tiptoe, tiptoe, tiptoe. So again, in the wide-legged folds, we were practicing moving the weight forward, almost like you were going to topple over. You really need to come forward, almost like, find that center of balance. And another thing is people take the arms too wide. It's impossible, okay? You need to get the arms in the right position. If you fall out of it, because we're not taking the legs up, if you fall out of it, very simply, you just come through a roly-poly. Okay, so if you feel like you're gonna fall, preferably fall back that way, back to where you started, probably the best bet. But if you feel like you're gonna come over, round the back, you're gonna come through a little roly-poly. Let's give that a go together. All right, so I'll talk you through it. And if it is in your practice, if you practice tripod headstands, if you're comfortable with them, you go wild at this point, you do what you want. If you've never done a tripod headstand before, do not lift your legs up today, okay? Just don't. just get a feel for what it's like to be on the top of your head first. Okay, let's do this. All fours. Okay, so to check the width, one thing you can do is come down onto your forearms, take your own elbows, okay? So this is a good width. Make sure you can take your own elbows, just like we're doing dolphin. And then you come up and you place your hands exactly where your elbows were. It's kind of like a posh way of doing shoulder width, but if you're getting confused, that's something you can do. And then dropping the chin forward and down, rolling onto the crown of your head. Now at this point, make sure it is the crown of your head. And then let's just adjust the arms. So you may need to take the hands back or forward a little bit. You play around with it, just so you can get the elbows over the wrists and the elbows in line with the shoulders.
Okay, then from here you tuck the toes, you tiptoe the feet in, hips have to come right over the shoulders, and then step your knees on the back of your arms, press into your hands, squeeze the thighs in towards the belly, and then hold it here. Deep breaths, we'll hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Then just roll back out of it. So again, if we were in a class, we would spend more time playing around with it. But for the purpose of this video, that is the technique. You can take it away, you can do what you want. Now, the headstand we do in Ashtanga is very different. I prefer it. So tripod headstand, I don't actually like it very much. It's an important part of yoga, a lot of people do it. The reason I don't like tripod headstand as much as the other variations is because it is unsupported. You do put a lot more pressure through the crown of your head. I don't like that. I prefer to have a more supported headstand. The more supported headstand, we're not going to do it today, but I will show you, just so that you're aware, instead of having the hands on the floor, you have your arms in a triangle like this. You place the crown of the head down, you tiptoe the feet in, and you just pick the feet up, okay? So I prefer this version because my head is actually off the floor. Okay? You don't have to have the head off the floor all the time, but you can check that you've got the shoulder strength by just trying to push the head up off the floor a little bit to check that it is in the shoulders, not the crown of your head. So while I practice tripod headstand, I do prefer other variations. I think that's enough. What do you think? Come down onto your backs. With any variation of headstand, it's all about making sure that you are not harming your neck, that you are using your shoulders, your hands, whatever other sort of variations of arm posture things there are, that you are using the body to support you, that the core is working, the hamstrings have to be working, the shoulders, the upper back muscles. Really, we're trying to make it as little about the neck as possible. I think with headstands, everyone wants to do them because they kind of look fun, but not a lot of people do them properly to begin with, including myself. My headstands when I first started practicing yoga were absolutely terrible. I'm surprised I didn't hurt myself more. So it's kind of like getting away from the thought that that you've got to do them and sort of making sure you do them properly. That makes sense. All right, well, that's enough chatting from me. So I just want you to, now we've got the back out, to come up into all fours. We're going to come into child's pose. So if you want to just bring the feet together, knees apart or knees together, then draw the bum towards the heels, arms out in front or either side of the body. So just rest in child's pose for a second. That was my bad because I started to get distracted by talking. So after you practice any type of headstand, little baby headstand, or if you do full headstand at home, then you need to come into child's pose afterwards. Have a little rest. And you can stay in child's pose for as long as you want, otherwise just come onto your backs. Coming into Shavasana now, so legs extended down the mat, arms a little way away from the body, and then just, again, totally relaxed. So yeah, I kind of get a little bit stricter, maybe, teaching headstands. And although we were just doing the baby tripod headstand today, it still has the, like anything, still has the potential to sometimes feel a little bit uncomfortable if done incorrectly. I think it is one of the more supported versions of headstand we can do. We're very close to the floor, so if you fall, you're only coming a little way down, but you have to be careful. Especially in this sort of format as well. I wouldn't teach a full headstand via video like this, but I am happy to teach the little baby headstand for sure. Although I'm quite short, so whenever I teach headstands, usually, sometimes it's more of a danger to me because people tend to almost kick me in the face. Alright, so you can stay in Shavasana for as long as you want, or you can come out of it by wriggling your fingers, your toes, taking a cat stretch, and then rocking from side to side, and then just making your way out whenever you're ready. Alright, so thank you for joining me.
Yeah, so take the technique, practice the technique at home if you're interested. You can actually put a little pillow underneath your head if you feel like you want a bit more padding. That's something sometimes people do. And yeah, just don't get caught up on it. It's a process. It takes a while to get used to being upside down. Just like arm balances, there's sometimes a real tendency to be scared of falling as well. But if you are going to fall, remember round the back, you're just going to come through a little roly-poly. You can put some blankets down, put some pillows down. And I recommend not practicing any form of headstand with the legs dead straight up unless you're super, super confident. Unless you have a teacher with you, a yoga teacher or someone else who is sort of trained to teach headstands. All right, that's enough from me. I'll see you later. Have a lovely week. I'll see you next time. Bye.